Why do we have an aversion to big dick energy?
Deemed the celebrity whisperer by Playboy.
This is the best interview of the day.
Thanks for having me.
You hit the nail on the head.
100%.
Period, yeah.
Touch them, Chris. You're cracking me up.
Wear them, baby.
This is good.
Taylor Ferber.
I'm talking about from both high profile men and women. We should be embracing this and not shaming it. And I'm sick of it. Like, since when did we become these weak little weasels? I'm both for men and women, like I said, and I'm done with it. And I have the perfect example of each that people are ragging on. And you all need to get, not you, listeners of my show, obviously, because you're all so goddamn brilliant. I'm saying the rest of the collective, how do I say this, morons out there, you guys need to get your shit straight. Okay. The first one with men is the story that is still heard around the world that I think needs to be placed on repeat, like on a projector in the Museum of Natural History. But the shakedown with Zelensky going to Trump and Vance in the Oval Office and everything that happened there. And look, I'm not, everybody and their mom is talking about it. And I was going to leave this, like I was going to put it to bed, but it's Monday and everyone is still talking about it. So, because it was truly, I mean, in the moment, I was like texting the close ones being like, this is so fascinating and compelling and badass to watch, right? And, in my view, and I said this on Friday when this shit was fresh as a daisy, how just unique to see this happen and to see a vice president, first of all, act like that and just be so sort of like straightforward and cutthroat and to the point, and then the president to follow suit. But we shouldn't have been seeing those litigations happen, but we did. And to see it go down and to see the way that JD Vance and Trump stood their ground against Zelensky was amazing. And it made me feel proud to be an American. And now you're seeing that being twisted by the left and by, the media, saying that this was an ambush, saying that Zelensky was bullied, saying that, how dare they? This was a mockery and the most embarrassing day in American history. How Trump just looks like a big buffoon and all of this. And I just thought that it was so stupid on Zelensky's part. I did. We're going to get to his outfit in a second. Like the fashion police were in the Oval Office that day. But I have thoughts on that. But no, I thought that they were incredibly forthright and strong and powerful, being like, listen, we had this minerals deal for you. We've been giving you guys billions of dollars out of our taxpayers' money, and you guys can kind of compensate with this minerals deal and we'll have a stake in it, right? And Zelensky, like a baby brat, is going, no, no, no. Like, that scene in Wedding Crashers where Vince Vaughn, he's like, it's like a kid in Toys R Us. That's Zelensky. And I know this is a talking point and you've heard it from many conservatives, but I'm just telling you, like, me to you. You know what I mean? How I interpreted it. Like, very like Dave Portnoy. And in fact, I thought Dave Portnoy's take on this, I love when he will unearth and like, come out of the middle of the earth and like do these political takes. I actually thought that he was a little like too diplomatic, and he was I get it. He was very empathetic to Ukraine and that their country's being destroyed and overtaken and they want to have a democracy and be free and all of this. But siding with Trump in that, like, we can't just keep doing this, right? And like a deal's a deal and negotiation is negotiation. But all that is now to see people, even like Conan O'Brien at the Oscars, be like, oh, Trump is just, he won't stand up to Putin and he's a Putin puppet. And what somehow is lost on all of you is that this is and this is what Trump was trying to say to Zelensky when Zelensky was kicking and screaming, basically being like, we need more we need more security. We need AKA money. We need to be sure we've had ceasefire deals before and Putin's broken them and all this. And what Trump was trying to say was that, listen, I'm not dying like Biden. I have a different history with Putin. You know, we went through the like Russia collusion together, all this. Like, he's not going to fuck with me, right? Like, we have a different thing going. And if he does, he knows what's coming to him. So trust me in that. And the first step, so we're invested. And like I said, how you can compensate for us giving you billions of dollars is this deal. Like, make the deal and we'll take it from there. And this little this little guy couldn't even do that. And I did. I actually watched the entire thing leading up to it. Like, I had my popcorn and I was like, wait, when did shit go awry? Because all we kept seeing was the replay of that one clip. And I did see where, you know, Trump and JD Vance were trying to be like super fair. They were ready to sign the papers to make the deal. And this guy just like couldn't do it, you know? And it made me think, like, even in simpler terms, imagine like even it's like what Dave Portnoy said. First of all, we've had the last administration that was Putin's, and Putin is, by the way, like, I'm not kissing my Putin poster at night, just so you know. Like, he's a ruthless dictator. As an outspoken media personality, you think I'd last 5 seconds over there? Like, it'd be off with her head, mine. So I'm not saying that, but at the same time, it's like we've had the last administration that has been like, he's bad, he's bad, he's the devil, he's the devil. Where the fuck did that get us? Okay. Like, common sense. And if you're trying to make a deal, you have to you have to do it strategically. Like Trump said, he's like, I make deals. You know, I'm a businessman. And what good does it do if you're just like going to side with this like little worm and be like, which, by the way, I'm hearing is all about freedom, but is essentially like not allowing any elections. Because that was one of the parts of the deal, by the way, is Trump was like, you have to have elections if we're going to do this, AKA like, you're toast, get out, like, go do another Vogue cover for all I care, right? But how much are you going to get done? I'm not saying that Trump has to go do a sex tape with Putin, but I'm just saying, and like, profess his love and leave Melania for him. But like, how much are you going to get accomplished if you just completely rail and rag on that person and throw them under the bus? They're going to be like, no, get fucked twice, actually. It's kind of like if you were trying to get out of your chores, you know, for your allowance, and you're like, Mom, you're a bitch, and dad. You think she's for 5 seconds gonna be like, all right, Junior, no choice, no chores for you today? It's like, in what world? And it's just smart, and it's what makes sense. So like, do we want this to get done or not? And so to now see all of these people just call Trump and JD Vance not only sellouts, but essentially like the world's biggest assholes for like kicking Zelensky when he's down, when he's trying to like hang on to what's left of his country in a war-torn place. Like, it's embarrassing for us, but shame. How dare they? I'm like, how dare you? Like, what? Maybe you need a mental eval. Like, what is wrong with you? And that, to me, again, it's like, sorry, it's like big dick energy. It's like, here's what we came with. Here's why we know what we got. We got the goods to back it up. We're looking out for ourselves first. We've been fucked for far too long. We've been hemorrhaging money on this. And we want to make it work. Like, sign on the dotted line and we're good. What's fair is fair and we'll make it work. Again, we have a different relationship with Putin. Let's do this. And it couldn't be done. And for that, it's like, they're these like big dick jerk assholes. Like, you guys really need to get your priorities straight. It's like, this is why we've almost like lost touch with masculinity on the whole. And there's a line, by the way, which I'm going to get to, that actually kind of applies, not kind of, it does apply to men and women. Right. And so to just like throw this under the bus as like an act of just carelessness and being a complete and utter douchebag, it's like, I think not, sweetheart. And the outfit thing was another thing that came into play, right? Because it was a whole who you know, brouhaha, how Zelensky wasn't wearing a suit, and you even had one of the reporters be like, why aren't you wearing a suit? And he's getting trolled for not wearing a suit, and I get it. Now, this is coming from me, right? Who is the woman, as you know, who will show up looking like Barbie and braless no matter where I am. Truly, no matter where I am. Okay. I ain't got no shame in my game. And so I'm not going to troll Zelensky for not wearing a suit. It's just, here's the thing. You got to have the goods to back it up. That is the thing. And I feel like I heard someone say this and I was like, right, it's so true. That it's like he started as an actor, right? And like he's playing actor. So it's this thing of like, I'm not just gonna get dressed in this costume because I have serious things to worry about. So I'm gonna look like I'm, boots on the ground and in the weeds and really like, in the gutter here coming out and, not be in a suit and tie today, but really be like, I'm fighting on the battle lines here, so I'm a little bit dressed down. And that to me, because of how he acted, that's what ruined the outfit. Had he been like, let's do this, I want to move forward. Yes, thank you guys. We couldn't have made it this far. Then I'd be like, I'm not so mad at the Henley shirt, whatever is going on there. Like, okay. And you're hearing a lot of people, especially on the left, be like, it's so hypocritical because Elon Musk wears t-shirts in the White House. And which, by the way, again, I'm consistent. I love Elon Musk for that. Like, I love same with Steve Jobs. Like, may he rest in peace, as scary as he was, I'm sure, to work for with his turtlenecks. It's like, and Zuck, you guys know how I feel about him, but like the equivalent of him with his hoodies. It's sort of like when you have the goods to back it up and you truly don't give a fuck, it works for you. I love that Elon Musk can be in a cabinet meeting with all of these, penguins in their suit and ties, and he's wearing a literal t-shirt, a MAGA hat, and a t-shirt that says tech support. Why? Because Elon Musk isn't taking money from us in this way. He's a billionaire, okay, who's doging the shit out of everything. And so he's got the street cred. He's got the street cred to like be like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I know what I got and I know what I'm doing. And so let's get on with the show. I have nothing to prove. So that's where I feel like it's different. It's like, do you have the goods to back it up? So on the female side of it, we're gonna get to the yin and the yang. Is who would have thought? Only on this show, who would have thought that we would compare JD Vance and Trump literally ripping Zelensky basically a new asshole on the world stage. By the way, as I'm shooting this, there's still no deal, so it's like, woo, bro, like that's hard ass business making right there and deal making right there. Like, that's all I gotta say about that. That shit is ruthless. But who was ruthless on the stage was Sabrina Carpenter. I know. Who would have thought I'd be comparing that to Sabrina Carpenter and her like sex lingerie show at the Brit Awards? But sort of two sides of the same coin. So Sabrina Carpenter is getting a lot of flack because she performed Bed Chem, which you guys know is like the baby making song of a generation at the Brit Awards. And it's very like kitschy with her usual lingerie, the red sparkly. It's like very Valentine's Day with hearts and the whole thing, and like super suggestive. I was obsessed with it. I was like, I'm here for it. I love it. We'll definitely be embodying this at the gym and basically my entire life, actually 24/7. Like, yes. And so who this in my opinion is like a female equivalent of like big dick energy. It's like my sexuality and my hotness is on display, and take it all in, like eat your hearts out. But of course she's getting shit, right? And I don't know, like, again, this shouldn't even be political, so I don't even know necessarily that this is coming from the right, but she's getting a lot of flack. One of them is like a tweet I saw that it was like, it's cool and sexy to be empowered, this is just cheap and tacky. And again, it's like, why? Like, it's the same in my mind. It's the same equivalent of, it's the same thing of like the knee-jerk reaction to seeing Trump and Vance hold their own and stand their ground, as Sabrina Carpenter like putting this all out there on display and doing her thing. It's like, why do we shudder at the thought? Like, is it a you problem, babe? Like, is this within you? Like, what is the problem with seeing people in their power and like with no fucks to give and no apologies? Like, why does that rattle and scare us so much is what I want to know. And that's another thing, right, to discern. Because, by the way, speaking of empowered women, I am actually like in a full-blown state of shock that conservatives aren't losing their minds at Honora, which is about a sex worker. And like Mikey Madison, when she won, gave a shout out to sex workers. Like, I'm shocked that they're not like all simultaneously convulsing. But when you talk about like, we're just so obsessed and have this fetish with dictating what empowerment is, right, for men and for women. And that's why it's important why I say, like, do you have the goods to back it up, right? Like another, like I love, of course, I mean, hello, look at what I drag my ass to do every day for a living, right? My passion, but is a really strong, emboldened, and empowered, outspoken women. And that's where it's like, okay, but like, are you actually walking the walk? And a good example, this is a little sidebar, but is the joke that we saw with Selena Gomez, because Selena Gomez, what, all of 5 seconds ago, was having a mental breakdown over immigrants and deportations, like all over the internet, all over like every satellite on Mars, anyone who would ever, anyone in her orbit that she would want to see this, right? And like probably in another galaxy as far as she's concerned, or would hope, only to last night see her in this extravagant, luxurious, over the top gown and diamond jewels and necklace and all this at the Oscars. And if it looks stupid, that's because it is. Like, is again, I love a woman who's empowered and is like, I will speak my mind. I will go up against the world no matter the cost. But it's like, if you think that this is stupid, that's because it is. And that's because this is how these people's brains work. It's like, be about it. All of their things are so, like, all of their causes are just so empty and for show. And then 5 seconds later, they go on with their lives. And you can listen to, I shot another hot take today about all the politics at the Oscars, but this is all of that, like, personified and encapsulated. It's like, it's cool for 5 seconds because they can get instant gratification and validation from each other, like clapping like robots. And the internet for 5 seconds, and then 2 minutes later, they're on their private jets and living extravagantly. And sorry, all the immigrants, like, you guys can all get fucked. Good luck with that. Like, it's just, be about it with all these. I don't care if it's Elon in a t-shirt, and I don't care if it is like Sabrina Carpenter doing her thing and being what she's about. But it's like, unfortunately, like, the Selena is the Zelensky in this scenario. Do you see what I mean? And so I love, even with Sabrina, right? Because that's the other thing why I say have the goods to back it up and be consistent. Because the thing that makes it work with somebody like a Sabrina Carpenter is that she isn't just this like tacky smoke and mirrors trying to get attention. It's like she actually is so, intelligent and powerful and in her own like lane, and a really great songstress and lyricist and songwriter and artist. So it's like she has the goods. She's not just some bimbo like flopping around in lingerie on a stage for like cheap tricks, right? And to make a buck and to get a follow. So that's what I appreciate about that. And so even like when you look, say politically, right? Like somebody who I love, who's such an emboldened woman and is so consistent, is Tulsi Gabbard. And it's funny because I actually saw an unearthed clip of her on The View. And this is what I mean, where it's like, it's so just like biting and cutting and just badass and substantive. But basically, she shows up and in the most like clever, modest way, calls all of them out collectively for ragging on her. She's like, I believed you described me as, whatever the words are, like this to their face. I was like, that has balls. Like, that is like taking your dick out for sure. Like, that is big dick energy, right? And they're trying to be like, oh no, we didn't say it. She's like, no, actually you did. Actually, I believe it was you. I believe it was you, Joy Behar, who actually said that, but then she proceeds to be like, what I am actually is a strong woman of color who wants to put America first. Like, she just literally takes them and is the most badass janitor I've ever seen, mopping the floor with all of them in that moment. And she's still like that, right, to this day. And that's where it's like, I thought about this. It's like someone like a Corinne Jean-Pierre, or even like a Blake Lively. Like, that's the difference to me. That's what I'm getting at with all of this, is it's sort of like this big dick energy. It's not only consistency, but it's like the inside and out. So that's why, like with my thing, right? Like Barbie Brain, or Brainy Barbie, or like Sabrina Carpenter, or even like an Elon Musk being like, I'm a fucking billionaire genius revolutionary in a t-shirt. It's like they have to meet the other. If you have one without the other, it's like, okay, cool, but it's like the combo that will take you the whole way. And unfortunately, certainly for women, right? It's like they say it's like good looks only take you so far, sweetie. So it's like if you're totally sexed out without the brains, it's like, okay, that's cool for all of 5 seconds. And I don't know. You could argue the same for men. If it's like if you're this geeky brain, but aren't that high, it's like, okay, that's cool. But it's like, I want a little hunky hubba hubba be you know what I mean? It's like when you can bring it all together and like have the confidence and the charisma and and like the counterpart, the yin and the yang, that's to me what makes it, that's what makes it work. Like that is big dick energy. And so I bring it back to like the Blake Lively's and the Corinne Jean Pierre's because we are also in this time of like, yeah, women speak, da da da. And it's like, this is the fine line. Like I talked earlier about the Trump JD thing, and it's like the line of being like assertive and aggressive and like powerful and a boss versus just being like a dick. Same thing with women. It's like, let's not misconstrue every woman speaking out ever as like boss, bitch, empowered like a Tulsi Gabbard. Because ladies, our version of that is just being a straight up bitch. And I feel like that's what someone like a Blake Lively or a Corinne Jean Pierre is. It's like they just come off to me as like patronizing and arrogant and condescending and flat out bitchy. It's funny because we think about how men operate in power and how women operate in power. And I get we have two totally different strengths and differences. But when you think about it like this, when it comes to big dick energy, it's not all that different. In my mind, it's like, okay, you can either be like, again, you can be confident and powerful and bold and sure, like aggressive and in your face and about what you're about. Or you can just be like patronizing, belittling, and condescending. And so I don't care if you're, I don't care if you're in a t shirt. I don't care if you're flapping your ass in a G string on stage. Do you have the goods to back it up? And which is it going to be, folks? Because I'll tell you, these people will come in and out of the news, trends will come and go, but true big dick energy is here to stay and it is timeless.